This is the Eagles Checkdown right here on the Eagles Pinpool Podcast Network. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, bringing you the fastest under 10-minute Eagles podcast every day, bringing you news, notes, and opinions on our favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. And guys, look, not much has happened. Not much has changed. Today is Tuesday, October 1st. I'm still not over. I know Monday was a passionate episode of the Eagles Checkdown. Today, it's still just in that passion. There's not much stats or news or notes to bring to the equation because we're not over the debacle that happened on Sunday when the Eagles lost to Tampa Bay 33-16. Now, there's a few things I want to discuss today on this show. I'm going to be all over the place, but I want to start it out, even though most of the next 5 or 7 minutes are going to sound negative. I want to remind everybody of something. If you would have told me, well, I told you because I predicted this on Training the AM. If I would have said the Eagles would travel to Brazil, New Orleans, Tampa, have one real home game in 4 weeks, A.J. Brown would miss 3 games. Devontae Smith would miss a game. Lane Johnson would miss a game. If I would have told you all that before the season and told you we will do all that and be 2-2 going to the bye week, everyone would have been like, that is pretty solid. So while the world does seem to be falling, while the sky is falling, it's not the end of the world. Our next 4 opponents are combined 3-13 on the season. So fixing some things could turn this season around. Talent could turn this team around. Just the straight fact of all the talent. Sometimes you win despite your coaching and whatnot. So, we're gonna try to keep a positive spin, big picture on this, but today's still an overreaction. Just feeling the brunt of that loss. And I want to start this out with, I want to quote my man Ray Didinger. He was on WIP on Monday, and he had a little line that I wrote down here, and I kind of paraphrased as I was writing it down. So if I got any of the words wrong, I apologize. He was asked what the big takeaway from the game was. And he said, Nick Sirianni, for a head coach, for a guy that preaches discipline, fundamentals, taking away the big play and not turning the football over, the team is not doing any of it. Somewhere along the line, there's a disconnect. When I heard Ray Didinger say this, I was just like, it was like a smack in the face. I know everyone all along has told me that Nick Sirianni isn't the guy and shouldn't be the guy, but I've been defending this guy for a while. And when I hear Ray Didinger, a guy that I respect, that I've been listening to for decades, say the way he said it there, it's kind of like a wake-up call to me. And I'm almost ready to get on that Nick Sirianni bandwagon. Nick Sirianni spoke for like 30 minutes almost on Monday to the media, Zoom style, and he literally said nothing. It is the same old mumbo-jumbo, the same old recycled lines. I will say one thing about what Nick Sirianni had to say. He continued to take the bullets for Jalen Hurts, for Vic Fangio, for the defensive tackling, for everything. He takes full blame for everything. And you got to give the guy credit for that. And this is the thing. Like, Jalen Hurts has been given the opportunity to stick up for Nick Sirianni. And he hasn't. You know what he said? We have our moments. That's what Jalen Hurts says when asked about the communication or the relationship he has with head coach Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni takes the bullets. He does. There is no coach in the league that takes as many bullets as Nick Sirianni does for his team, his superstar players, for his assistant coaches, for all of them. It's not Vic Fangio's fault. It's his fault. It's not the tackling's fault. It's his fault. Everything, the turnovers, it's his fault. So I will give him a little credit for that. And that's but there is obviously a severe disconnect between he and Jalen Hurts that's got to be addressed in this bye week. Because if it cannot be addressed, if you cannot get Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts on the same page, this season has the opportunity to snowball out of control. And he was asked about, how you make adjustments when snowball effect happens in games and in the season. He's like, you got to make adjustments and whatnot. He talked about sometimes you got to give encouragement and hope. Sometimes you got to yell. You got to have a feel for the situation. Well, it seemed like on Sunday, he didn't have a feel for the situation. And, he he was asked about the tackling issues. And, he says he thinks he's got an idea why the tackling is going wrong. And he thinks he can develop something in practice that can fix those fundamentals. Well, what have we been working on since July when training camp started? Fundamentals, details, and they're still at square one with it. There's an identity issue on this team. He was asked about the identity. He says, your identity is what you do well. Well, this Eagles team hasn't done much well this year, even though the record's 2-2, even though I want to keep a positive spin on it. I mean, you've got an identity where you've got Darius Slay chirping after the game. You got Isaiah Rodgers talking smack to the fans, not happy about how they criticize the team when they play well. Isaiah Rodgers, you don't like it, you can go. The fans pay hard-earned money to watch you play. They buy the jerseys. We travel better than any team in the league, our fans do. And if they want to boo, they're going to boo. They have that right to do it, as long as they do it somewhat respectfully, of course. I'm surfing Twitter getting prepped for this recording, and I see Darius Slay out there on Micah Parsons' podcast, chirping and joking and making fun of the Eagles and joking about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, smack-talking, the Cowboys. In what world? I'm 43 years old. You would have never seen a player in the Buddy Ryan era doing something like that. Yeah, I know that we think of the Cowboys as enemies, and the players might not. But you gotta at least read the room. Darius Slay going on the Micah Parsons podcast and talking today the way he did, to me, that does not sit well at all. Now, I don't know the answer. They're not going to fire Nick Sirianni, most likely. It just seems like something that won't happen. But even if they did, what other coach are they going to bring in? Bill Belichick ain't coming here. Mike Vrabel ain't coming here. They're never going to hire Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, a coach that has his own backbone. They're always going to hire the yes man type coach. Ever since Chip Kelly got here and grew that ego and pushed Howie Roseman aside, that's it. We're never going to see that kind of ego coach anymore. So Nick Sirianni's the guy. So that's where everybody's got to sit in a room. Everybody's going to be locked together. Nick, Jalen, Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, Howie Roseman, the leaders of this team, A.J. Brown, maybe even throw Jalen Carter in there. You got to be locked in a room for a day. And everybody's got to hash everything out. The leaders of this team, look at all the captains of this team and how they're performing this year. They've got to figure it out. They've got to all be adults about this and figure it all out. And I don't know. It's going to be a long bye week talking about this every day here on the Eagles Checkdown. Real quick, before we get off the air, I know this is an Eagles football podcast, but I want to just give a quick rest in peace to the great Dikembe Mutombo, passing away of brain cancer. Also, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, just to give you he as well passed away today, or it was announced on Monday that he passed away. So shout out to those NBA and MLB legends. I know, Pete Rose did his bad thing as gambling and all that kind of stuff, but it's still a crime that he's not on Hall of Fame. And Dikembe Mutombo, that 2001 Sixers team, when he came in here, I was so hyped when he joined Allen Iverson. I thought that was going to put us over the top and be what we needed to stop Shaq and Kobe to win an NBA championship. So a quick ending of the show and a rest in peace to Dikembe and Charlie Hustle right there. We need a little Charlie Hustle on the Eagles right now, and we're just not getting it. But anyway, guys, this is the Eagles Checkdown right here on the Eagles Pinpool Podcast Network. I'm Phil Stiefel. You can find me on all social media platforms at Bearded Knowledge. You can check out Trending in the AM Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9:30, linked on the description to my YouTube channel. I'd greatly appreciate you guys checking it out, finding me. 90 minutes of taking your opinion on Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, on everything happening in the world of Philadelphia sports and nationally as well. Guys, have a great night or a great day. Still, go Birds, and still, Bubbles.